Hello everyone, welcome you all. So in this video we are going to discuss about field effect transistors. So in my previous video I discussed about silicon control rectifier. So if you have not seen that video, please guys check the playlist, you can find that video. Okay, so now coming to field effect transistor. So first we will see the basic definition of field effect transistors. So in transistors we know that there are two types. Okay, so one is BJT, that is bipolar junction transistor, and another one is FET, that is field effect transistor. So the basic difference between BJT and FET is BJT is a current control device and FET is a voltage control device. So those concepts I will explain as we'll proceed in the video. Okay, so first coming to definition, it is an semiconductor device like a BJT which can be used as an amplifier or switch. FET is also having three terminals, namely drain, source and gate. Okay, so the definition says that field effect transistor is also an semiconductor device which is similar to the BJT. So it can be used as an either amplifier or it can be used as a switch. So FET is also having three terminals. They are drain, source and gate. So in case of BJT we are having emitter, collector and base. So in case of FET we will be having drain, source and gate. Okay, so the general diagram or symbolical representation for BJT and FET I have shown here. So BJT consists of base, emitter and collector, whereas FET consists of gate, drain and source. Okay, so BJT is called as current control device and FET is called as voltage control device. So the reason for calling it as current control devices is, so the collector current, that is output current. Okay, so the output current in case of BJT is controlled by the current which is applied to the base, so that is base current. So in case of BJT the output current is controlled by the base current, so that's why it is called as current control device. But in case of FET, the output current, that is this current, that is drain current, is controlled by the voltage applied between gate and source terminals. So the voltage which is present between gate and source, that is controlling input voltage, this voltage will control the drain current. So that's why the FET, so that's why the name field effect transistor. So a field effect means the field is created due to the applied voltage, in turn that field will control the drain current. So that's why it is basically a voltage control device. So this is the main difference between BJT and FET. So the other differences are the FET is smaller in size and it has high input impedance. So it can be used in integrated circuits where there is a space is very low. Okay, so but the BJTs are bigger in size and they are having low input impedance. Okay, so if they are having low input impedance, they will consume more power, whereas these are having high input impedance, that's why they will consume low power. So this can be used in amplifiers where there is a need for high input impedance, so that they can consume very less power for the system. Okay, so these are the sum of differences. As and when we move in the playlist, I will be explaining all these concepts. So if you are not following these videos, please guys check the playlist. I have made a whole series of videos on basic electronics. So there are around 130 videos which are available. Okay, so now coming to some of the features of FET. So voltage control device. So FET is a voltage control device. So as I said earlier, unlike the BJT, FET is a voltage control device. So unlike the BJT, which is current control device where output current IC is controlled by base current IB, in FET the output drain current ID is controlled by the voltage between gate and source. So whatever I have said earlier, that is the same point it is. Okay, so now coming to some other points. So the FET is called as unipolar device. So what is mean by unipolar and bipolar? Let us see. So we know in BJT the current is induced due to both electrons and holes. So it is called as bipolar device. But whereas in FET the current is induced by only one type of charge carriers, either electrons or holes. Hence it is called as unipolar device. So what it is saying is, in BJT the current is induced by both electrons, that is E, and holes. So in case of BJT, the current which is induced will be due to the electrons and holes. So there are two carriers. There are two carriers which will be two charge carriers which are used to induce the current. So that's why it is called as bipolar. So that's why it is called as bipolar. But in case of FET, the in current, that is I is induced by electrons or holes, but either by electrons or either by holes. So both will not be inducing the current. Either the electrons will induce the current or holes will be inducing the current. So that's why in FET we will be having N channel FET and P channel FET. So in N channel FET, the current will be induced by electrons, and in P channel FET the current will be induced by holes. So both are not simultaneously used in the current production. That's why it is called as unipolar. So unipolar. So this is the unipolar device. So you got the difference. BJT is a bipolar device where both the charge carriers are used for induction of current, that is electrons and holes. But FET is a unipolar device. Sorry, BJT is a bipolar device and FET is a unipolar device where only either electrons are used for inducing the current or holes are used for inducing the current. So that's why it is called as unipolar device. So moving to the next point, FET has very high input impedance. Typically it is in order of 1 to several mega ohms. Okay, so due to this, FETs are preferred in amplifiers where high input impedance is required. So as I have said in my earlier, so the FETs are preferred in amplifiers because they are having high input impedance. Okay, so suppose what is meant by high input impedance is, suppose this is a system. Okay, so if you are using a FET here, it is having very high input impedance. That's why the power which will be drawn by this system is very less, because the input impedance of this FET is very high. So that's why it can't draw more power from the source. So it will basically increase the efficiency of overall system. So these are basically used in amplifiers. Okay, so where a small signal will be providing here and we will be getting a high signal. So the loudspeaker is the best example for amplifier. Okay, so in also radio communication we will be using amplification, because the signal which will be receiving from far distance radio antenna. So suppose this is the radio antenna and you are receiving here the a wave which will be transmitted by the antenna will be attenuated in the environment, and its strength will be very less when it is reaching to the end user. So at that time in our receiver it is amplified with the help of these BJTs and FETs, so that the whatever information is transmitted at the transmitter side will be clearly listened or received at the receiving end. So there we can use the concept of amplification. So that's a typical example. Okay, now the last point is, also FETs are smaller in size as compared to BJTs, so they are preferred in integrated circuits. So as I said earlier, integrated circuit means, so suppose this is some IC, so there will be a CPU, there will be input output ports, and there will be capacitors, filters applied. Okay, so there is very less space available. So in order to fit those components like BJT will be very hard because their size is higher. So where you can use, so we just want to perform the task of amplification. If suppose you are assuming, then the BJT what amplification work is done by BJT can also be done with the help of FETs. So why can't we use FETs instead of BJTs, so that the space consumed by those components will be less. So here BJTs can be fitted in small areas, that's why they are used in integrated circuits as well. So I hope you liked this video and found it a little bit informative. So if you liked the video, please guys hit the like button, and if you are not subscribed to the channel, please guys do subscribe. Thank you. Thanks for watching.